Women have challenges, especially more recently, white, well-educated, liberal women tend to have the highest degree of mental health challenges these days. I mean, they really oh yes.
But they're the pin-up girls for the progressive movement.
They tend to be the loneliest, the
ones
most
that
anxious.
were told you can do it all and have it all.
Yeah.
It's not true, is it?
No, unfortunately it's not. And there is something about living in a world that is guided by an ideology that's fundamentally disconnected from reality, because I really do think that's what progressivism is, and especially those messages that we are giving to women in particular. They go against women's bodies, right? The idea that your child, for example, that you're pregnant with could be your enemy, that your body makes you less than, right? It's an obstacle to the career that you want. And we try to correct, Peachy Keenan corrects that in the femininity chapter, that actually motherhood is fundamental to what it means to be a woman. And it's not the enemy of you. It actually is going to be the greatest gift to you. And unfortunately, liberal women are hearing a lot of anti-woman, anti-motherhood messages that ultimately will prove to be pretty fruitless and very empty later on in life, especially because white women too are being kind of heaped on with that same narrative of you're guilty simply by dint of your race. So another chapter we have on race, where Delano Squires, who is at the Heritage Foundation, he writes about this. He writes about why it's such an injustice to everybody, but especially children, to tell them that they are inherently wicked or inherently saintly just based on their skin color. But unfortunately, white children suffer as well when they're told, simply because you're white, you are part of the oppressor class. Black children, they suffer by being told that they are victims simply because they're black, and they'll never get ahead no matter what they do, because the system is set up against them.
Well, the system seems determined in this sort of naive, stupid, dumb idea that we're all either victims or victim makers, to make sure that victims never escape their victimhood, because then those who use them, who've weaponized that victimhood, lose their power. Well,
and honestly, I've listened to your podcast a lot. I feel like you've had this conversation recently with somebody about how this is really a pseudo-Christian message, right? Where there is an original sin, but there's no redemption. Like we have the fall that make all of us guilty and separated from God. But there is a point where everybody can be redeemed. Everybody can be brought back into right relationship. But this oppressor-oppressed narrative, you will be guilty regardless of what you do. There is no redemption. There is no coming back. You can do the work, but it's never going to get you to the point where you are virtuous and clean and free and guiltless. So it's not a mystery to me why this demographic of white liberal women tend to suffer the most. It's because women in general are more concerned with social acceptance and wanting to please others. And they're stuck in an ideology that says you can never be pleasing simply because you're white.